Research objective. Pastry originated in Europe by an Italian chef called Panatelli. He created this hot pastry recipe. Pastry is interesting as it has a unique sense of flavor, and the dough is pre-gelatinized on the stovetop and then baked in the oven. We chose this pastry because we both are really intrigued by the technique of leavening, which is steam, and the complexity of the product. Challenges we might face were to find a proper mold for the form. For the steamed choux, see if the cheesecake and the choux can bake together. For the savory, we are replacing butter with oil and if it affects the structure of the product. For the vegan, we are replacing the egg completely and seeing if it works out at all. The control is a cream puff. The main components are pastry, crackling, and a sweetened whipped cream. The survey results were 60% of the people said a 5 on 5 on taste, 30% said 4 or 5 on taste, 80% said a 5 on 5 on texture, and 80% also said a 5 on 5 on appearance. Variation 1, problem statement. How can we create a cream puff which has an innovative and a stable form? Hypothesis. We will be using metal ring molds and filling them less than half to maintain the form and stability of the choux, mimicking a cylindrical shape. Variables. Independent, we will be changing the mold of the choux. Originally it is just piped on a sheet tray, but we'll be piping it into a mold. The temperature of baking and the ovens will also be changed to see which mold reacts how in the oven and what is the structure of the choux. The dependent variables would be appearance test, Likert type surveys, and seeing if the pastry can hold the cream and the webbing structure after it's baked, and polling of what people think about the overall appearance. Here are our survey results for the appearance test. Appearance, a lot of people said it was a 5 on 5, which is 57.1%. 35.7% gave us a 4 on 5, and 7.1% gave us a 3 on 5. 71 people said it looks like a cream puff, 83% said it is innovative, and 42.9% said that they have never seen a pastry like this. Variation 2 is our steamed cheesecake cream puff. Problem statement. How can we use a water bath to merge a cheesecake and a choux together? Hypothesis. We will make a cheesecake base in silicone molds, freeze it, and then pipe choux batter on top and bake it in a water bath. Variables. Independent. We are completely changing how the choux is normally baked as we are using a water bath and silicone molds. The oven temperature is also going to be changed, and we are using another equipment which is silicone molds, hence that is also different from the control, and we are adding a cheesecake which is also different from the control. Dependent, we will be seeing the appearance, taste, texture of the entire product. We will also conduct Likert type survey questions and see the temperature of the cheesecake to determine if it's cooked or uncooked. Here are our survey results. 17.6% gave us a 5 on 5 on taste, 64.75% gave us a 4 on 5 on taste, 47.1% gave us a 5 on 5 on appearance. Other comments were light and crunchy, super soft, soft and tender, and that is how our result went.
For our first variation, we decided to reimagine the cream puff in a savory way. Many people are familiar with the most common version of savory choux, which is a gougere, but we wanted to take it to the next level by modifying the fat that we used as well as the flour to make it a little bit more satisfying. We also decided to change the filling to be a savory profile. During our trials of the savory cream puff, we had a lot of success in swapping out ingredients as well as adding inclusions. We found that adding olive oil had no significant difference to the overall product, but brought a lot of good flavor. Replacing half of the flour with polenta made the choux not puff as much as we wanted, so we decided to reduce it to only a quarter. From one of our surveys, people suggested that we add inclusions to make it taste more savory, so in the end we decided to increase the salt and also add chives and parmesan to the choux dough. So we really wanted to try and create a vegan cream puff as well, just because eggs are such a big part of creating pâte à choux. So we wanted to find a way to create a puff that does not use eggs. So basically, we replaced our milk with soy milk, we replaced our butter with a vegan butter substitute, and then we tested out a bunch of different options for eggs, different things like tofu, aquafaba, egg replacer, but our most successful one, even though it was not greatly successful, was replacing the eggs with flax eggs. And then we also were planning on filling the cream puffs with a coconut cream, but we did not have enough time.
Extension for variation 1, we will re-experiment with the ring molds, baking times and temperatures, increase the flour in the control recipe as well. Variation 2, for the steamed cheesecake, we will reduce the amount of choux and increase the amount of cheesecake so that the people have a balance of both. We would also try to see other custards and use other molds. Variation 3, we would try to replace all the butter with oil and infuse the dough with more seasonings. Variation 4, for the vegan, we will replicate each quality that an egg brings to a pâte à choux with separate ingredients and try the Just Egg product also to see how it is different than the others. Application for variation 1, the form experiment taught us how a choux batter can be manipulated into different molds. However, we had less time to succeed, and our question is what other molds and temperature levels can be used to succeed in this experiment. For variation 2, water bath provided a good technique for us to incorporate both the pastries together. A question would be what other custards or pastries can be included in the experiment, and how can we get more webbing in the choux. For this savory one, we will replace the butter in the recipe with oil and flour, and we would also see if we replace the butter with cocoa oil or coconut oil, how would that differ. Also, any other flours like rye flour, what would the texture be. For the vegan, we learned that the replacing flaxseed with eggs is a good gesture. It does provide us what an egg does, but not totally. How can we incorporate multiple ingredients to replicate every aspect of an egg is the question for the vegan one.
For our conclusion for variation 1 form, the data collected from the survey showed that people thought it was innovative and most of them would buy a cream puff that was in a different form. Our major findings are kind of that we would have to work more towards narrowing down our form if we had more time, but that it does work in theory. For our steamed cheesecake, we found that people enjoyed the combination of cheesecake with the choux pastry, and we were also able to get that soft cheesecake texture as well as our crunchy top with our cracklin. For savory, we were able to prove that replacing the fat and cornmeal for flour worked, and that we could create basically just a yummy savory pastry that was still light and very satisfying. For our vegan version, our conclusion was that eggs cannot be replaced really, and due to a shortage of time, we were not able to create a product that was successful. Our major findings for variation 1 were that the fat can be replaced with a more flavorful oil. The flour can also be replaced with cornmeal. Inclusions can be added to the choux. We added cheese and chives, and that the filling can be easily manipulated to be flavored with different things. For variation 2, for our form, we found that the dough can be easily manipulated to be baked into different forms. We had a little bit of issues with getting it to be exactly the way that we wanted, but experimenting further would have resulted in a form that we really liked. For variation 3, we found that there is not a single ingredient that can replicate everything that an egg can do, but within that, flax seeds can provide an egg-like structure in baked goods. So further on, people could use flax seeds in vegan baking like has been done before. And finally, for version 4, our steamed version, we found basically that choux can be baked in a water bath, which was a big success for us.